It's the moment you didn't know you're waiting for.
He is Carter.
He's Chad.
And this is the Irish 365 podcast.
Chad, this is Lou Holtz. That's head coach of Notre Dame for 11 years. Greatest experience of my life. They're starting a Notre Dame podcast this summer. I have a podcast as well, but it's not about Notre Dame football, although I wish there were. But congratulations on your success. And it would be nice if I could be on your podcast, but my schedule is so hectic. But anything that has to do with Notre Dame, I'm all for it. God bless you. Go Irish.
Welcome into the Irish 365, episode 17. Great news, people. We're not here to talk about basketball season today.
That's a good thing.
We are here to talk about some Irish football post-game. That means we got the win.
Yes.
A nice 49-7 win over the Stanford Cardinal yesterday.
Yeah, and I got to be honest here. I was pretty pessimistic going into this game. To say the least, pessimistic was the way I went into this game. I was guarded.
Yeah, didn't want to be hurt.
Just guarded. Didn't want to be hurt.
I understand.
I was protecting my feelings. Yep. My head told me we could win this game. My heart was saying, be cautious.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about here.
Yeah.
And a lot of good, a lot of bad.
Yep.
But, we do have a guest today.
Yep.
So
from the heart of ACC country.
Yeah.
First, this ACC opponent.
It's an ACC game. We got heart of ACC country. So let's bring him in. The one and only Jordan B. Let's go.
Hey, guys.
All right. Well, hey, Jordan.
Welcome in, Jordan.
Welcome. So,
thank you.
Yeah, we're getting ready to talk about this long-time standing ACC opponent of ours.
Yeah.
I mean, the Legend Trophy on the line that goes back forever, but first year in the ACC for Stanford.
Yeah.
And we're kind of getting to the game. So for us, it was a 3:30 kickoff. We made the drive here from home base, got up to campus a little early. Now, a little bit delay on our departure time.
Yeah.
We just missed the player walk, which was one of the things we wanted to get up on campus for this particular time. We wanted to hit the player walk. So now we got to get everybody coordinated. Got to coordinate a little better on the leave. We did try and make it over to the Rockney Memorial. We wanted to go rub Newt Rockney's nose for lunch. Or for luck?
Not for lunch.
I was thinking lunch because we went by South Dining Hall, I guess.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lunch spots. I know you're a North Dining Hall guy, but
me?
Yeah.
Oh heck no! They always try to feed us there at soccer camp, and I was always mad because South Dining Hall.
South Dining Hall is a preference. But anyway, it was just one of those. The remodeling's done kind of, but there's still some stuff going on. You couldn't get into the Rockney Memorial, so. Still a little bummed. I don't think we've been in there in like 5 years.
More than that.
Maybe. It was pre-COVID last time we were in there.
Yeah.
I know it was shut down during COVID, and I know, but there was a lot of football games and different sporting events on Saturdays that, for a period, that kept us from getting up to campus as early as we'd like. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, we made it up there. It was a nice day on campus.
Oh,
perfect football.
Gonna beat it. Shorts and a t-shirt. It's all you needed.
That's right. Until later. Then a jacket would have been nice.
Yeah.
For some people.
So,
yeah, Jordan, I guess the weather was probably good for you in your area, right?
Yeah, great weather. Great football weather here.
Yeah, no problems. So let's go into this game. Let's just break it down. We gotta hit our bets. I mean, we got to talk about the parlays, but let's break down the game, what we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like, and then we can talk about how the parlays performed.
Yeah.
As we go through this, I think that's kind of the way to make sense of this. So I came into it guarded, as I said last week. My head said we should beat Stanford. There's no reason. They're a young team. They got issues. My heart was just like, you can't go through the pain of the NIU again this year. You got to protect yourselves. So I went protected into the game. And opening kickoff, okay, we get the ball, and then our offensive series looked miserable.
I wouldn't say that. We started off with 3 straight passes, 2 where they're completed to Bo Collins, and then he drops the third.
Yeah.
We end up having a punt. But I would say we came out at first and was like,
the first series, not the first couple plays. The first series didn't go well. We didn't drive down. We've been driving down the field in the school.
Oh no, I know, but we started off with a couple pass plays that moved the ball, and then we just stopped. But I think there's a penalty. Holding penalty.
There was a hold on the run.
Yeah. They on the big run that brought us back, and then we stalled from there. But we started off with a few pass plays and looked decent, and then the holding drew us back there.
Yeah. So then there was the punt. which was shanked.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm like, oh, this is the reason I've guarded myself.
Yes.
This is the reason I've guarded myself, because this is what we're in for.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I also want to mention, though, on that first drive, it's 3rd and 7, or maybe it was 3rd and 17 or second.
Yeah.
Long.
Yeah.
It was forever.
I think it was a second.
He had Jaden kind of do a double move or a move across the middle, and Riley Leonard had him open.
Yeah.
And he overthrew him by maybe 5 or 6 yards.
So what do you think? Do you think
that's where I was like,
stopped?
This is just bad.
Do you think he stopped running? Because at one part in his route, it looked like he slowed up a little bit. I don't know if that was he thought he was going a different way.
Well, when and I get the luxury of being at home and being able to watch the replay.
Yeah.
He cleared the first guy off the line. And he had a window that he was wide open.
Yeah.
And then he hit the safety, and I think he slowed down originally because he said, I'm in a wide open window.
Yeah.
And then he kept running, and they ended up, Riley, I just think it was just bad timing, but it just wasn't a good look to compound all the issues that they were having on there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think as you go through that entire game, especially the first half, one of my notes or one of my takeaways from it was Riley Leonard does not have trust, or the receivers don't have trust in Riley Leonard still. I mean, there are times, and I've noticed this, like Louisville, there were some times where this happened, and I went back and watched some highlights, and what the quarterback's expecting the receiver to do and what the receiver does do not align. And I think that was one where Jaden Thomas kind of didn't settle down, and it should have gone long, and he decided to go long, and then Riley throws the ball where he should have, and Jaden Thomas was out of position. I think there was a couple Bo Collins. I think there was a KK Mitchell reception that could have been where it was I just saw Riley Leonard's bad throws yesterday were his good throws 5 weeks ago. His bad throws weren't bad throws. I mean, again, I don't expect him to hit that receiver in the hands, be on target, put the perfect ball. He's not Tom Brady, right? He's not Peyton Manning. But his bad balls were I wished were as good as his good balls a month ago. So I saw a lot of progression in Riley Leonard, and I saw that at the start of the Louisville game. He got injured, and that's why I was a little guarded. I think coming in this one was okay, he had a good quarter. Can he put together a good game? Because I'm convinced we can win with Riley Leonard. I haven't been convinced we can win because of Riley Leonard. Yeah. And I saw sustained yesterday. And now it's the receivers have to trust him, I think. Yeah. And I think that's a great observation, Jordan, because I think that was one of those where Jaden Thomas, I don't know that he knew or trusted Riley Leonard to go the same place.
He didn't know what Riley Leonard was going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should he sit in that pocket, or does he need to keep that route going? So that's fair.
And I think he was turning around thinking, okay, Riley Leonard's going to throw the short ball and not lead me, and then realized, oh crap, he's going to lead me, and it was too too late. If anybody's ever played softball, baseball of any kind, and ever found themselves in the outfield, it was sometime during that time. You've been out there and the ball's hit, you're like, oh, it's up, and then you realize, oh crap, it's carrying. And I felt. You held this sense of helplessness, I'm stuck, and I kind of think that's where Jaden Thomas was at in the whole thing. So so I think that was kind of but again, at this point, we're through that first series. Offensively, I was just expecting us to go down and score, and we didn't. Then we shanked the punt, and I'm like, oh, that wasn't good. And then Stanford gets the short field because of the shank. Well, not short field, but 60 yards. Yeah. They got good field position, and they made some plays, and they did what we expected from Stanford. A lot of just deception in the pre-snap look on the offense. I mean, and I think that's why they had success that first series, that option first drive. Play. Yeah, because they were showing what they were showing the defense, and what they were doing. What they were doing wasn't exotic. What they were showing prior to doing it was exotic, and our defense was a little trying to figure them out, a little bit. Definitely. And some of that was they took advantage of that Al Golden, South Bend, don't break, defensive. I mean, and I think defensively we play man on man. It's hat on hat, and that's always going to give you those 3 and 4 yard runs. That's just you're just living with it. And they marched down the field. They got to where they normally get inside the red zone, and our defense stiffens up because we're not playing as deep on the secondary.
Yeah.
And I'm still not convinced that the rushing touchdown was a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
Like, we had the Jumbotron replay, and the play before that, they thought he was in and he wasn't in.
Yeah.
And I thought he was closer being in the previous play than he was the one they called him in on.
Yeah.
And then they put him in on that one, and it's like, I don't know that he ever crossed the line. So what was your take, Jordan? Did you think he crossed the line?
No, it was really ugly, and they tried to show two different replays, but then they kicked it over to Freeman complaining, and Freeman just kind of like conceded after the ref said something to him. So it was weird because, I thought his knee could have been down because he was definitely lunging, but it stayed above. But it was just, I think the fact that it was one of those, they called a touchdown on the field, there was no evidence to turn it over.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be indisputable to overturn it.
Yep.
And that happens sometimes. And I don't remember, they didn't confirm it, or they just said stand?
I don't remember on that one.
Yeah, because it was.
Yeah, they were reviewing it in the ACC box, and they basically confirmed it. That's why I think Marcus Freeman was like, "Well, take a look at it." And I think the ref told him ACC already confirmed it. So.
Yeah. Okay, so it's confirmed
because it went sort of quick. Like there was a quick show of the replay, and then the game was going back on. And usually, you don't get a lot of the video board, but if they've got a really good angle, or they'll put it up on the video screen and they'll pause it and let the crowd see it and boo the refs kind of thing. And we didn't get a lot of that, so it's like just the one replay we got, I was like, not so sure he was in from that one, but we're biased.
And it was that backup quarterback. That's a one trick play.
You knew he was running.
That's all he was going to do.
Yeah, I mean, that was what they had, and that's with him, and that's what they're going to do with him. So now we're down 7-0, and
pretty early in that.
I'm going,
Same.
How's Shrewsbury's recruiting going? Because what's going on? But so that was not a good start.
And that was, I mean, this is midway through this first quarter at this point. Like it was a decent drive.
I mean, we're 4 or 5 minutes into the game, though. I mean, and they've put up points and we haven't, and it's like, and again, it was the Riley Leonard. It wasn't Riley Leonard playing bad. It was Riley Leonard's not in sync with the receivers. The receivers just don't trust him. I mean, and for good reason. Like, I think they've got good reasons to have a little bit of trust issues with him from the first 3-4 weeks of some of the throws he made. And I think I told you that throw to Jaden Thomas is that if he threw that against an IU, we're in the top 4.
Yeah.
Because he's so overthrew the receiver.
Yeah.
So anyway, then you get into that. We get our second possession.
Yeah.
Goes a little better for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so then we start getting the rhythm going. And there were still some throws that were off. But it was just the offense felt more in rhythm and more in sync, I think, this game. And that's throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
And I mean, Leonard didn't even run
until that touchdown.
Till the touchdown, right? He didn't even.
Did he have one? He might have had one small one in there, but yeah.
There was a scramble, but I don't think he actually ran. I thought he scrambled and threw it, but maybe he did. Did he?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah.
No.
You don't think so? Yeah, I was gonna say if he did, it was a scramble. It wasn't designed run. That was his only designed run on that drive.
Yeah, that was the draw up the middle for the touchdown.
Yeah, 13 yards untouched, was it?
Something like that.
Yeah,
but that was a good time to break it out.
Yeah,
and to your credit, Carter, I thought you'd run Leonard, just to get him comfortable.
Yeah,
just he's comfortable when he's running. I thought you're going to run him a little bit, get him comfortable before you start asking to throw. They came out and said, Leonard, you're going to throw.
Yeah, 6 carries yesterday for 31 yards is all he had.
Yeah.
I mean, that's compared to what we've been seeing. I mean, a freaking 100-yard game a couple weeks ago. Like, they definitely told him, you're sitting in this week. You're not bailing out.
Yeah. And they trust your arm, trust the receivers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was good to see. I mean, we looked like a more complete offense.
Mm-hmm.
It's clear the offense is going to go through Riley Leonard. He is the nucleus of the offense. I mean, I'd like to see a little more Jeremiah Love, but we saw enough to keep me happy.
I would say that touchdown run, but without that, I mean, it's just
he had one big pass reception too.
Yeah, he had the screen play 25 yards, I think. But yeah, I mean, Jeremiah Love did not. Definitely Price was the guy yesterday, which is interesting. I don't know if they're just saying, all right, Love, we don't need you as much this week. Let's keep the carries down. We got a big one next week. I don't know what the game, if it just didn't fit the scheme, but yeah, Jeremiah Love only 6 carries yesterday. Kind of interesting. I was like the guy back there in the backfield.
But, the running backs, the way I understand the rotation is like McCollum makes the like decision on who's going to run the ball when and where and who's in. Like, it's not they're scheming around a guy or out, Denbrock saying, give me this guy, give me this guy. Like, it's just like a feel hot hand kind of a thing. And maybe it was because Price had the fumble last week or against Louisville.
Yeah.
Like, maybe they were kind of thinking, oh, man, we're losing Jordan.
No, it's all right. I can still hear you.
All right. So, yeah, your video feed went wonky on us. But, yeah, there you go. You're back. But it may have been a situation where, because I think he got benched, Price got benched a little bit last week because of the fumble.
Yeah.
Like, maybe they were just trying to rebuild his confidence.
Yeah, that could be 100% true.
But, yeah. I mean,
They mentioned that on TV. Jason Garrett does the games, which I just think he's a buffoon at times.
Yeah,
but,
fair enough.
He talked about that they were trying to establish more letting the guys get in rhythm versus subbing, one in, one out, and it kind of happened that they were giving Price those carries early on, and then they flipped it over and they were trying to get Love going. They, weren't subbing him out because Love just came in and he's the one that threw the block that kind of let Riley Leonard score that touchdown.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I said, okay, well, if this is what they're going to use Love for today, they're just going to go Price heavy. But then, like you said, Love did have that big run, which he looked like he was jogging down the sideline. He was so far ahead of everybody.
He had a lot of space, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, his touchdown run was like, I don't know what he did. I hadn't seen the replay, but he came around that corner, and it almost looked like he was pointing up or like signaling he was going to score as he made the corner, and then separates. And then he gets in the end zone and he gives it the, hey, Love symbol. It's like, okay, brand yourself, young man. Brand yourself. Yeah. So I'm going crazy. I'm like, let him cook. I'm excited for Love. I mean, he's so dynamic. And I think that's probably the thing, like for him, that block, to spring Leonard open.
Yeah.
That is work that an NFL running back has to be willing and able to do. And like those kind of plays, the fans don't get excited about, but there's a whole lot of NFL scouts that see that and say, wait a minute. I mean, because you can go back a couple of years ago to Kyron Williams, and people knocked Kyron Williams. He's not fast enough. He'll never be an NFL back.
Yeah.
Well, he's doing okay in the NFL.
Yeah.
And he got drafted. And probably the only reason Kyron Williams got drafted was the Clemson game
pass block
where he put on a clinic for pass protection as a running back. It's like, okay, this guy's a former high school linebacker who runs the ball well enough. And so I think for Love, like it's that same sort of thing. He needs some game film where he shows he's willing to do that dirty work because he's dynamic with the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
And if he could be an every down back, all of a sudden you start talking about this kid as like, hey, this kid's worth going in the first round.
Running backs though.
I know running backs don't have that value, but like I'm not saying he's a top 10 pick.
He could be a top 3 running back off the board.
But he could get himself into that conversation. So it's good for him to have that work, and it's good for the team when the running back's willing to make that play.
And he's only a sophomore.
I know we still got another year.
Yeah.
I think the bigger concern is because him and Price and Jadarian Payne, who's freaking phenomenal, but injury prone it seems, and then you got Anais Williams who looked
great.
First
touchdown of the day.
And if you were lucky enough to have the Peacock stream and watch the fourth quarter,
Kendron Young looked pretty solid.
Young looked really good.
Pretty solid.
I think if I'm Notre Dame, my bigger concern is that there's not enough footballs to go around the running back room, and we've had that problem in the past because we've had some good running backs and running back duos. But in today's NIL world, I mean, like Logan Diggs was a great running back.
To see him leave.
To see him leave. Now, I get there was an opportunity in NIL. There was some issues in health with his family, and like he couldn't pass that up. But you were thinking he was the guy, and Estime was getting carries, and you're like, I don't know. I like both these guys.
Yeah.
So I think we're susceptible to losing a running back in the transfer portal, unfortunately, and a really good one.
Yeah.
Because there's just not enough. Now, if I'm the Notre Dame running backs coach, I'm going to say, listen, guys. we're going to do enough to keep you happy. We're going to get you bowls. We're going to get you to the league.
Yeah.
But we're also going to keep the wear and tear on your body down so that you have opportunities to be more than just 2 years in the the average NFL career is 3 years, right?
Yeah.
We're going to try and get you 2 years plus in the league. Because no one gets lifetime rich off the rookie contract.
Yeah.
You know, they can live modestly off that rookie contract. You got to get that second contract. That's where the life changing money comes. Yeah. I mean, that's where I shouldn't say that. If you're a quarterback getting $35 million, you could invest that modestly at 3%, make $1 million a year. And I'm not a financial advisor, but if you're looking for an agent, I'd give it a shout. just for my modest,
your cut.
My modest 10% cut, right? I could go online and get a law degree, I'm sure, from some pay-to-play university. University of Phoenix, I will represent you and get you a game in our stadium.
Yeah.
So, best stadium for a college without a team. That's all I'm saying. Hands down.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that's kind of an interesting, like the whole running back situation gets really kind of crazy as you get there. So and we're not even into we're jumping ahead here, but you start getting through the second half, and what do we go 6 straight series with a score? Do we have a second punt? I can't remember a second punt.
It did not. If we did, I can't remember. Truthfully, let me see if I get stats here. But
yeah, I mean, because we had the drive, we scored at 7-7. I think the Stanford second series of offense started off decent, and then we stalled them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going for it on 3rd and 4th down. You got to remember. So we were getting the ball in pretty good field position.
And they had to go for it. Like if you're Stanford,
I'm not saying they didn't. I'm just
you've got to go for it. Like you've got no option there on paper. There was no chance, so you had to go.
Okay,
for
so
it.
You're right. We had one punt for 24 yards yesterday.
So
we didn't have a second one,
and that may be why we went for it a couple of times on 4th down. Like, okay, we're not gonna trust the punter.
And Mitch Jeter went down. Was hurt yesterday, so we're on another kicker as well.
Yeah, which that's always a little dicey because Notre Dame historically didn't have any kickers like walk-on kickers because everybody was just a scholarship kicker every 3rd year. And now we've got this walk-on thing going, this transfer thing going, and it's I don't even know who the backup kicker is, nor do I care most of the time.
Yeah.
Because it's not usually your kicker gets hurt and that kind of a thing. But so it felt like, and that was, I think, one of the big takeaways when Stanford was going for it on 4th down, you knew it was 4th down. And the crowd got loud. I mean, which again, people knock. I don't know if you could hear that from the television feed, but the crowd was getting into it and getting loud, even though it was Stanford, you know. There was a lot of crowd noise. There was a couple of false starts yesterday from Stanford. I think the crowd played into. So there was one. Oh my goodness! Right
out of the rain delay.
After the rain delay, we'll jump ahead and talk rain delay here before we get to the half, I guess. But coming back from the rain delay, they come over the loudspeaker prior to the rain delay, and they announced that there was a storm rolling in, and that if there was lightning within 20 miles of the stadium, they would have to evacuate and you'd have to seek emergency. And it was pretty clear at that point, it was going toward the end of the 3rd quarter. Everybody was pretty clear Notre Dame was going to win. We started seeing people leave because they didn't, fair weather fans. They did not want to get caught in lightning and rain.
Yeah.
And that's fair. So we go into the rain delay, and oh, okay, well this sucks. Well, then you come back out of the rain delay, and what do you think? Maybe 30% full?
Oh, if that. I was
I'm being generous.
Yeah.
The student section was
10%.
The band, there was the band, and they made up half of what was left in the student section.
Yeah.
Literally, it was sparse. There was the section we were in was still pretty populated, but you have to understand where we were sitting. We were on the visitor sideline. Between the goal and the 10, and we were up 24 rows. So everybody sitting in front of us was a player's family member.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm 5 rows behind Riley Leonard's mom and 7 rows behind, Angeli's family. We've got players. We're amongst players' families.
Xavier Watt's mom.
Yeah. I got to dap up Xavier Watt's mom during the game. Got to talk to Jaden Thomas's dad, after the game. Got to talk to Jagasol's dad. Rumor is he's healthy. He's ready to get back on the field, but probably won't this year. So we were going to be in a section where there was going to be a lot of people return because their kids were still going to be on the field, or they were going to still support the team, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But it it got loud in there. Stanford had the ball, and
first play out of the
out of the rain delay, and like the crowd was loud enough that actually caused a false start for Stanford. It was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, and people knock the Notre Dame crowd for not being rowdy. It's like So
the 30% that was going to be loud was there though.
Again, the fair weather fans left, and the ones making noise they stayed. So we didn't need to pump in any sound. You couldn't have pumped in sound if you wanted to. It was so sparse you'd have known. There's no way. So anyway, that was kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, so I thought the crowd was really good yesterday, and when Stanford was going for it throughout the entire game on fourth down, you just knew. And I think when Notre Dame was going for it on fourth down, it didn't feel like we were going for it on fourth down. It just felt like it was part of the rhythm of the offense.
Yeah.
It just felt natural. You didn't feel like, oh, hey, big play, 4th and 2.
We need that. Yeah.
It was like 4th and 2. Oh, yeah, Leonard slipped up the middle and got it. Let's go. Let's keep going. And so I thought that was like the offense felt as good as it's felt all year. In fact, I don't know if I remember a game last year where the offense felt this good.
I mean, we had like Wake Forest and where we put up 50s. Yeah.
I know.
I mean, just like, but I understand what you're saying. Like the fluent, like it just felt like nothing was forced. It was kind of just like.
Maybe Jackson State last year.
Okay. Yeah.
Like maybe that game, it just felt like the offense was just in a rhythm and going. So if they were doing something with the rhythm of the running backs and keeping those guys in a rhythm and not because I think that breaks up the offensive flow.
Yeah.
Is when they, you get a guy going and it's like basketball, right? A guy gets a hot hand and starts shooting the ball. You just keep feeding him, and so maybe that was part of it. They just kept it going.
Yes, I don't know if you guys saw anything about this, but after the game, Freeman basically came out and said, our goal, what we're telling the offense this week is we've got to show the media, the people, a different offense this week. What we know, like what we've been seeing in practice, like we're not doing this anymore. We got to show them something different. Like this is the team that we are. We're not this team that struggles offensively. I thought that was interesting. You wanted to. And I think they did that yesterday.
Oh, no, they, again, I think you've seen, like, he stuck with Riley Leonard early in the season when I was questioning why the heck he's doing it. Does he want to get fired? And the only thing I can come back to is he had to see something in practice that we're not seeing in the game. And this must be what he's seeing in practice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, because coaches get fired for bad decisions. And it's like, if you're sticking with this guy, you better be right.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was interesting, and
I thought like when they were, I just think they had so much confidence because once Stanford came out and they hit him in the mouth, let's say, and it was like, oh, we got to play. But once after that first series, I'm like, they clearly know they're the better team. They figured out to contain the ends, to not let this quarterback run, and then the defense was just feasting nonstop. And then the offense was like, oh, we can get this going too. And I think it was we know we're better than them. Let's just finally go out and execute. It's not going to be high pressured. I think they just look really relaxed out there.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I feel like in the stands, I felt like the defense played with a tenacity that I didn't see against NIU. And NIU was just like they were going through the motions. Yeah. And maybe even Miami of Ohio a little bit. They were like just going through the motions. I felt like there was a little bit of an edge, a little bit of an anger. Like they knew they were better, but they were going to dominate. Yeah. And that was the feel I had. And I think, when you watch a sporting event, I don't know. I always feel like I can get a feel for like the team and the mentality. And I mean, and I've been there where I've coached youth sports and like the kids just, they're locked in and life's good. And I've been to games where I've coached youth sports and we're the better team, but like the kids are just not, like their heads just aren't there. And it's like, okay, this is a coaching loss. This isn't a player loss. And I felt like yesterday defensively, there was a tenacity. So I thought that was good. I'm like, okay, if the defense can come out regardless of the opponent, play to their standard.
They're flying around too.
Yeah. Oh, they were. And we got to talk about the terrible ref calls.
Yeah.
I don't like to complain about the refs too much because I know they're people. They make mistakes. Like, they're going to. But the Benjamin Mortis holding call that negated the Xavier Watts pick was like, how do you call that? Yeah. Like, literally, the guy turned, Benjamin, like, put a hand on him, and the flag was out. Like, no hold, no pull. Like, what? Yeah.
Yep.
And then and then Benjamin Morrison gets one later that gets called back for an offsides. It's like, how are we lining up offsides? Like, I didn't see an angle that like he wasn't offsides.
I can't dispute that one. I didn't have an on that.
That's I mean, how great of a game would that have been? We had a BMO and Xavier Watts pick in the same game.
Big players play big.
Yeah.
So I felt really good about defense. I mean, and we had a center catch the ball.
Yeah.
Right. Like. I thought we were going to get the thick six there. I thought we were going to get the lineman to score because he was like, I don't know how he like didn't score because he was bowling people
one
over.
Catch for 11 yards yesterday, Pat Coogan.
Right, so there was nine guys got balls yesterday, counting Coogan,
and he was not the lowest yards. He had more yards than a few guys.
That's right. He trusts Riley Leonard. Yeah. He was on the spot. So and then we had the defense. I thought we were gonna have the defensive thick six too. I mean, freaking Durham making the play where he comes across and like hits the pitch. And then like, and his mom family were like down and just to the right of us, and I mean they were going ecstatic. Like that was not what they expected for them when they came to the game. In their wildest dreams, they did not think he's going to steal a pitch and go toward the end zone.
And I mean that was just like, that's a big dude. That was an athletic is all get out play right there too.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that always stands out is like those linemen used to just be big.
Yeah,
and like they were 300-pound just blobs that you had to run around.
Yeah,
and they're not anymore, man. College linemen are just massive, athletic menace. That's all they are. So he played good yesterday as well. The whole defense did. I am so comfortable with our defense that if our offense can get rolling, I like us against anybody. Like on paper, we match up well with anybody.
Yeah.
And what college football showed us yesterday?
That's the exciting part. No one's dominant this year.
Who's the dominant team? I mean, a lot of overtime games. I mean, Purdue came back and
almost beats Illinois.
Like I
goes for two, right?
I look up at the scoreboard one time and I swore Purdue was down like 21-0 or 14-0 or 21-3 or like I looked up and I just like, oh, Purdue's going to get rolled by Illinois, and then it's like, what? Alabama escaped. LSU found a way to beat Ole Miss.
Tennessee escaped.
I mean, there was a lot of close games, and we got to win every game. We got to get to the playoff. Like we got to make the playoff first. But I'm feeling better as we progress. And we're halfway through the season. And like I feel good about where we're projecting. If we can continue that projection, I feel really good about us. So it's
definitely nice to see, though. Every week I feel like we're seeing improvements, though. I mean, obviously that NIU loss, but like I feel like we have seen improvements, and it's been like, okay, we're getting better. Like, and after the bye week, it was kind of like I was texting you this. It was like this is a week we need to see something. Like I'm gonna either feel really good after this bye week, or I'm gonna feel like we lost all like this season's.
And
if we won, but like
I was teaching you about the Kool-Aid comment. I was, but I will say this: you heard all kinds of hype about Mitch Evans. How many receptions did he have yesterday?
No targets, even.
Like
no targets.
Not even targeted.
Oh my gosh! How disappointed was I?
And I thought for sure coming out of the rain delay, they've talked all about Mitch Evans. Like like they hadn't got him the ball. I'm like, okay, you're going to bring in Angeli. Like, there's no way you're going to put Leonard in after this. You're going to go with Angeli, give him the fourth quarter. And I thought, okay, now if you're wanting to get Mitch Evans going, who's been injury, like, get him in there. Let him run a seam route. Let freaking Angeli hit him and let him go for 30 yards.
And my thing was, like, I was looking, he's got 2 to 3 catches a game. He's like between 10 to 18, 20-ish yards a game. I was like, he hasn't had a big game yet. It's like, and all the hype I was reading this week, I was like, all right, he's going to have 4 or 5 catches for 25. Like, nothing.
Now, So that part of your parlay didn't hit. But how did your parlay do overall, Carter?
Okay. We lost. Let's just get
okay.
We lost.
Mitch Evans.
Jeremiah Love didn't get 70. I think he finished with 53. So I was short on that one. Hindsight, I felt like we were going to throw the ball. Like I was high on throwing the ball. I should have went lower on Jeremiah Love's side. So hindsight's always 20/20. But Riley Leonard 2+ passing touchdowns. Notre Dame goes over 37.5 points. And then and we covered.
Yeah.
So I mean, it wasn't terrible.
But you put out an aggressive parlay,
definitely.
plus 1,000.
Definitely.
It was not a parlay that was very likely to hit. And I'll tell you what.
Yeah. I had you believing, huh?
The strike 1 and strike 2 I gave you, you hit.
I know.
I was least, which it goes back to why you never take betting advice from me.
Yeah.
Where I thought you were wrong, you were right. And where I thought you were right, you were wrong.
I know.
So I'm not knocking you. I'm just saying.
I had you believing for a little bit.
I was starting to say lemon lime Kool-Aid is green.
Yeah.
And so is the green apple. And I think I like the lemon lime better than I like the green apple.
Yeah.
So I was about to get a couple packets and some water and mix that stuff up. So Jordan, how'd your parlay do, Jordan?
Well, I also took the L. I was, I had drank a little bit of Kool-Aid, and I knew, or at least I was confident that Notre Dame would score. So I tried to hedge a little bit. But I think after they got rolling in the first half, I was confident that they would continue to be able to move the ball. But like Carter called it, they were going to throw the ball. Riley had those 31 yards. And I was like, he's just not going to get to 50. Yeah. So I fell short there. And also I had Jeremiah Love at 60 yards.
Yeah.
And I was like, just give him one more
carry and he gets 7.
Yeah. But I think it was the short field too. I think the defense was starting to pin him back. Like, when we got that kind of pick, that he almost ran it in. I mean, he was down at like the 20-yard line. I was like, they're going to score. They're going to score. And he's throwing it so well. He kind of, Riley Leonard actually surprised me. He kind of threw a sidearm on that slant route on one of the touchdowns. So I was like, okay, I
got a point for that.
While I wasn't going to get any runs from him, but he looked good throwing it. So I drink the Kool-Aid on Riley Leonard, I guess.
229 yesterday. So I had over 200, and I was saying I didn't want to take 225, but barely got over that. But on the sidearm thing, I actually saw him warming up at the end of the game after the 2-minute timeout with Kenny Minchie. And he was like throwing that 30-yard, 20-yard-ish ball sidearm throw. Like, it was interesting. Like, that was like, you could see him specifically trying to hit that.
He's like,
so I didn't notice that on the touchdown pass, actually. So I'll have to go back and look at that.
Yeah, he's like, I want to be Patrick Mahomes. I want to be Josh Allen.
Yeah, but we got to. Yeah, I know you got something for Kenny Minchie, though. I mean,
So I like Kenny Minchie, and maybe it's because Kenny Minchie was not offered by Notre Dame. We came in and picked him up late because we lost a quarterback that we were trying to recruit, and we lost him late in the cycle. And the legend of it is, and I don't know what's true. I've never talked to Kenny Minchie, but like when we lost our recruit, Kenny Minchie had already committed to Pitt. And rumor is someone in Kenny Minchie's camp reached out to Notre Dame and said, hey, if you're interested, Kenny Minchie's interested. And that's how we ended up getting Kenny Minchie to commit to Notre Dame. He grew up in Henderson, Tennessee, lifelong Notre Dame fan, family's lifelong Notre Dame fans. One of his favorite people on the Notre Dame team has been like Golden Tate because they went to the same high school. Yeah. And he is such an athlete and such a strong arm.
Yeah.
And so we watched, like, coming out of the storm delay, we're watching like Riley Leonard. And
I think it's a 2-minute timeout.
It was a 2-minute warning, or the 2-minute timeout. Don't call it a warning.
Yes.
They were just standing on the sideline, just throwing the ball back and forth. And Riley Leonard, they were 20, 25 yards apart. Yeah. They were, and Riley Leonard had the red schmuck on, and he was signaling in place at that point. His day was over, and I was hoping we get to see a little Kenny Minchie, after the 2-minute, just handing the ball off. But it was funny because you're saying this. Leonard's practicing this sidearm throw, and Minchie's just standing there, and effortlessly throwing the ball. Like it just looked like he was just
like in the backyard, throwing 5-10 yards, but it was just whistling off. Like
it looked like Leonard was kind of winding up a little bit and winding up to make a throw, and then it was a little bit of an arc, and Kenny Minchie was just throwing like frozen rope, darts, like.
Hindsight, I wish I would have got like a video of it. But
I too, same thing, was like, and we watched in the spring game, and our big takeaway from the spring game was Kenny Minchie, like he can put the ball in windows that NFL players caliber, like his decision making's got to develop from what we saw in the spring game. But that dude's got just a strong arm. He's a better runner than Riley Leonard.
Yeah,
and I know everybody will be talking in the postseason and after season that it's going to come down to Angeli and Carr or
Kenny Minchie gives me those Ian Book vibes.
Really?
I just like dude's gonna be he's
Just
gonna
a
figure
winner?
it out. Just a winner. Like not that he's like a similar player to him. No, not that. Just like dude just seems like a winner to me. Like he might not be like he's just.
Oh, and that was one thing about Ian Book. Like I love the quote from Ian Book's dad. Like Ian Book's dad was like, Ian's not going to Notre Dame to freaking hold a clipboard. Ian's going there to win the starting job.
Yeah,
and he just turned out to be the winningest coach ever or quarterback ever at Notre Dame. I'm high on Kenny Minchie. Just I don't know why I am, but I am. What I've seen of him, I hope that kid is in a true battle. I know everybody wants CJ Carr to be the guy next year, and I hear good things about CJ Carr.
Yeah.
But my anticipation is we're going to end up losing either Angeli or Minchie or both next year. In the transfer portal, and I think I like both of them. I like Angeli a lot as well. I just think if you want to have this more mobile quarterback, Angeli's more mobile than people think.
Yeah.
But if you want that mobile quarterback, I think Minchie's got more there. But I think Angeli's probably a much better passer. Much like accuracy wise. But Kenny's got that dude's got a strong arm.
Yeah.
And I just so we're football nerds. We're watching guys warm up and saying, "Wow, that's pretty impressive." Everybody else is just trying to dodge rain, but all the fair weather fans were gone.
Yeah.
So I mean, we enjoyed that. The parlay side of it, I'm happy you guys were directionally correct, even if your parlays didn't hit.
And the overhit.
Yeah, and the overhit because I was not feeling good going into that whatsoever. So
yeah, I think going forward, Carter, it's going to be hard now because I have, I'm a little nervous about picking Riley Leonard rushing.
Oh, I know.
Jeremiah Love rushing. I think they're gonna spread it around more.
It's gonna it's gonna be hard, and the odds aren't like great on it for the low ball. Like you can't go 40 yards. Like both their odds are trash. So it's getting tough. Like and then are we gonna start picking receivers? But it seems like there wasn't. Bo Collins was like the go-to receiver yesterday, but like it doesn't seem like it's gonna be like that every week. I don't know. Chris Mitchell had a pretty good game. It's gonna
Mitchell
be tough.
Evans.
Yeah, Mitchell Evans. I mean,
I think that's done.
Well, the thing is, I won't bet it 1 week and he'll go for 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he'll be 250, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, so that's my problem. Yeah, I don't think I can go.
Your back.
Yeah, but backup tight end Eli got in.
Raritan
got in yesterday. So
the backup.
So.
And Raritan's a really good tight end. It's not like he's a scrub that they put, that just got lucky, So I mean, you think about where we're at. We're at the midway through the season. We've got Georgia Tech next week.
Yeah.
Which is going to be an interesting matchup. I mean, we had their first mobile quarterback we played this week, a true mobile quarterback we played at Stanford. We're going to see even more mobile quarterback.
They can throw the
Georgia
ball better.
Tech.
Yeah.
And Georgia Tech's not a team to sleep on.
Yeah.
And then we follow that up with coming back for the Florida State game.
Nope.
Or no?
We're heading to New Jersey.
We go to New Jersey. That's
Navy.
right. For Navy.
2 tough weeks.
Yeah. So, and that's not going to, so like the schedule's going to be tough the next couple of weeks. And then you got Florida State coming up.
Bye week, then Florida State.
Yeah. So you got the bye week, then Florida State. And so that bye week kind of is that 2/3 of the way through the season portion. And we saw a lot of progression like through this past bye week. And so can we get these 2 tough games, get through some victories, and then, can we make another step forward? Because right now, I think we're good enough to make the college football playoff.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a lock at this point because I'm still a little guarded. But I think we can make college football playoff. We just got to win it. We're in the college football playoff as far as Notre Dame's concerned. We got to win every week. I've said that and said that again. But now the question is making us not enough? Can we win a game?
Yeah.
Can we win 2 games? Can we win 3 games? And we're not. I don't feel like we're a team right now that can win more than 1. Like today, if the college football playoff started next week and we were in it, I think we could win 1 game. I don't think we can win 2.
Yeah.
But with the growth I've seen offensively, I feel like we could grow into a team that could win 2, 3 plus games in the playoffs. Because I think everybody's shown beatable. So
I was gonna say, like we said earlier, like we've seen so much growth this year, and the nice part is that we're talking about Jeremiah Love only had 6 carries yesterday. Like, in our running back depth so big. We were talking about like it's crazy because we were talking about sporting. I'm like, oh, who's that receiver? I just not recognize it because we haven't seen him too much. But it's like if we can stay healthy, like we've got some depth in some key positions. I feel like so. Because this is going to be a long season. Like whoever wins this thing is going to be the deepest team. You've
got to have talent and depth both. Yeah. So
and Notre Dame was a definition of balance yesterday.
Put
up 500 yards, 200 plus passing, 200 plus rushing.
Yeah.
that's why I was like, I have nothing bad to say. Like, I can't really.
Yeah, your criticism's got to be the first series, defensively, and maybe a little bit the second series, and offensively, it's really the criticism of the first series, and that's it.
And our thing is special teams.
Special teams, the only series.
I would say we can't turn the ball over. Like Bo Collins, I think that was a fumble.
Yeah,
like he got ripped out of his hands. Like we can't be doing that. Like Riley Leonard gets going, we can't lose confidence on something stupid like that. You get ripped out of your hands, like going down. Come on.
But I think that'll be interesting because I think offensively right now our biggest struggle is going to be getting the receivers to start trusting Riley Leonard.
Confidence, yeah.
They gotta have confidence in him, and when they run their route and they run the right route, he's going to get the ball. And I get why they're not there, but if we take a step forward there, I mean, and who was it that dropped the ball in the end zone? There was that was the Angeli throw though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was Angeli. That was. But we got to get the receivers just to have confidence in Riley Leonard. And if we make that next, because that's the step we've got to make, the way our defense is playing and the way our offense is projecting, if our offense takes that next step, I start thinking we get to be a real dangerous team. And that's the great thing. Like the NIU loss is not a great loss, unfortunately. Yeah. And we're not going to have any great wins on our schedule. A&M is going to be a good win. Louisville should be a good win. I think Navy and Army, if we win those games, could be good wins. But what we do know is the playoff committee is not going to look at a week 2-3 loss and say, well, because you lost in week 2 or 3, you're not good enough to make the college football playoffs, because they're going to look at how you finish the season. Yeah. I mean, Florida State was a good example last year where Florida State was dominant, and then because they went to their backup quarterback, they got
third string
quarterback. They got held out only because, well, you did everything you could. You won all these games, but you're on your third string. And since we don't know, like, we're going to hold that against you.
He played in the ACC championship, looked like trash.
Yeah. So I think that's the good thing, is like the timing of the NIU loss. It'll be much more difficult to have a loss in the Big Ten championship and be your second loss. I mean,
so how many national championships did Nick Saban win at Alabama? 5 or 6, I'm thinking off the top of my head. Do you know how many undefeated seasons he had?
Like 2?
2.
Yeah.
2 of those national championships were undefeated, which is crazy to think about. You just think about this dominant run of Alabama. Like, you think they don't lose a game. Like, I heard this the other day. Like, he was like, and we lost early in the season. That was the best thing that could have happened to us.
Oh, yeah, because then you get everybody's head right. You're like, you're beatable. I mean, as a coach, and you got to be a little junior psychologist, I guess. And remind these guys. And if I'm Marcus Freeman, I'm reminding those guys, don't take Georgia Tech lightly, because they'll NIU you. They will roll on you. Yeah. You've got to come in there angry. They want to bring you into Mercedes-Benz stadiums. They want to spank your butt. So Nick Saban was a master. He figured it out. He figured out how to motivate us. And that was my favorite Notre Dame coach of all time, Lou Holtz, was the master of that. I mean, you hear these guys that played for Holtz talking about it didn't matter who was playing us, whether they were ranked or unranked. You come into practice on Monday and Tuesday, and you felt like there was no way you could win the game. By Wednesday, you thought, well, maybe if we play well, and Thursday you're like, well, there's a chance, we got a good playbook, and then by Friday you're like, I'm running through a wall, we're killing these guys. I mean, and so you got to have a little bit of that motivation, and having that NIU loss gives you that motivation. You can talk about Stanford or Toledo or whatever from years past, but there's guys that don't resonate. But you can point to a game earlier this year where you guys, this team, got itself in a bad position, and you lost to a team you shouldn't. And if that doesn't make you mad, what will? So, and I thought this was interesting. I don't know if you saw this on social, but I don't know where Marcus Freeman made the quote, but he basically said, I'm tired of being a good football team. Yeah. I want to be was it great or excellent football team?
Great. Yeah.
It was a great football team. And it's like, oh, okay. Raise the bar.
Yeah.
Raise that expectation. I like that. So it was good.
Yeah. Can we see continuous growth here? Like, we had a good win this week. Georgia Tech's not an easy component.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech and Navy. I mean, and we're getting into the travel part of the season. Like, you got to remember, Notre Dame hasn't left on a true road trip since August 31st, week 1. Like, we've been in the state of Indiana since then. So we got to go on the road next week down to Atlanta, which not sold out game. Going to be a loud atmosphere. Going to assume a lot of Notre Dame fans, but got to go back on the road.
Yeah. And it could be in our favor. Sometimes getting on the road and getting away from the friendly environment helps, I guess, with some teams. So we're going to find out.
Yeah.
So, Jordan, you coming down to Atlanta? You going to make it? I mean, it's only, 6 hours?
Yeah, I know. Well, I did look it up, Carter. So Palo Alto is only a mere 2,821 miles. So
how did the Stanford people in your community feel about that loss yesterday? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with no stops, it said it would take like 1 day and like I forget how 8 more hours.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a little bit of a drive. I would not want to make under
the poor equipment managers when they have to make that from down where you're at.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
I have to stop by you guys and fill up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean we got we got a level 2 charger. You could top off.
Perfect. That's all I need.
Yes. So yeah, I mean that's a long, and that's whole conversation for the offseason about how conference alignment and I think there's some interesting stuff going on in the background. I think I sent you an article, Carter, from Sports Illustrated about the super conference. Rumors are going around, but I can go back to my time at Notre Dame, and there was someone that I went to school with that was working in the athletic department and is very much in the know. And I've seen her name quoted in articles when they've hired coaches. She's very much in the know. And I won't say too many stories, but I know there's been talk about super conferences for a decade plus. So it'll happen eventually. I think we're going to that model. So, then this whole conference thing in football goes away. But yeah, it's just the poor, like we said, volleyball team and the cross country team.
Oh, the equipment manager driving the truck.
The poor equipment manager. This guy's got to. I think there's a semi driver. I think the equipment managers probably get the flaw.
Okay, yeah, but I just mean.
But yeah, there's a semi guy that's got to drive that equipment out there. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
He's got a nice looking truck, but he's still got to travel 30 hours. I mean, and then he's only allowed to drive 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
And then he has to stop because of, the federal regulation. I don't know. Maybe they got a trucking team where they can get 20 hours a day in, but now you're driving 10 and sleeping 10 in the semi. That's not a cool idea. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
So those are the people suffering because of this conference realignment. They don't have a voice, and we're here to give it to them.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding.
So those are probably the same people listening to the podcast because they got all kinds of time.
They got plenty of time. You're welcome, guys.
And they got to do something. So, hey, shout out to you.
Yep.
So, all right. Anything else, man? I think we got to stay one game. I hope the team stays one game at a time. Yeah. We can look ahead a little bit as fans, but the team's got to stay one game at a time. And I think we got to we're seeing things that make us feel better. We're feeling more confident. This team, again, if we win in IU, even if it was by 1 point, we're a top 5 team, and we're all probably heavily into the freaking second pitcher of Kool-Aid about how we're going to win the national championship, especially after Vanderbilt knocks off Alabama. Yeah. Georgia struggled a little bit.
Almost beat Kentucky, Mississippi State.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's a stat where Tennessee struggles against Texas struggles against Vanderbilt historically. It's how awesome would it be if Vanderbilt were to knock off Alabama and Texas in the same year? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We got to watch out for IU, right?
And, who knew? IU could win the Big Ten. And I think, if IU wins the Big Ten, SMU wins the ACC, if this kind of chaos theory, and A&M wins
SEC.
The SEC. If this chaos theory somehow plays itself out, that's the worst case scenario for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because now the Ohio States, Oregons, the teams the Georgias, the Alabamas, the teams you expect are going to make the playoffs, they're going to be fighting with us for that.
Yeah. We want to be fighting with the SMUs, the IU. We'll take our chances.
You kind of figured, okay, Alabama, Georgia, one of them's getting the automatic.
Or Texas.
Yeah, or Texas. One of them's getting the automatic bid. Another one's getting in, maybe 2. Well, if A&M comes in and gets that automatic spot, now it's oh, crap.
Yeah.
And you kind of figured one team from the ACC was going to get in, whoever won the conference. You didn't figure a second team's getting in. But if Clemson continues to play well, and SMU plays well, and they play an epic game, and it's a 3 or 7 point game in the ACC championship, now you got to get nervous, especially if it's SMU that wins it, that Clemson's going to get that opportunity to be that second ACC team in there. And then Yeah, so it could get really interesting. We got to win every week, and if we win every week, I think we're okay.
Yeah.
And if we continue to play up to our competition or up to our potential, not play down to our competition, that will be good. And hopefully I so could have used a USC win yesterday.
Oh,
yeah.
So could have used that win yesterday.
Yeah, no kidding.
For multiple reasons.
That would have been huge, but
yeah, no, because I was watching that Ole Miss LSU game last night, and they're both right in front of us. So
LSU's,
and now Ole Miss is a 2-loss team.
Yeah.
At 5-2, but how much do they weigh those 2 close losses?
Yeah.
Well, I think LSU didn't play last week, but they fell behind us.
Yeah.
They fell to 13 because we're tied for 11.
Yeah.
And they fell to 13. So, one right behind us, one right ahead of us.
9, I think, Ole Miss.
Yeah. So now, are they going to have Ole Miss may fall behind us, but LSU may jump us again.
Yeah.
And so it may not be, we may not move up a spot.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we'll move up. I could see us being 11 or 12 this week again.
Yeah.
Right in that bubble. And I'd feel a lot more comfortable if we got ourselves into like 7, 8.
Yeah, definitely. And
and this Boise State team's creeping up.
Yeah, so. They're getting hot. But that's the group of 5 team that's looking like this year. But
yeah, so there's going to be a group of 5 team. Of course, the problem is the group of 5 team doesn't have to be a top 10 team. They just have to be a top 25 team.
Yeah, the highest. Yeah,
like they could be number 25.
There's no one in front of them.
So we've got to be top 11 to be in and to be comfortable. Because the AP and the coaches poll does not mean crap.
Yeah.
So if you're not in the top 10 of those polls, you're probably not going to be in the college football playoffs top 10.
Yeah. I want to say, I think it's after our Navy game is the official.
Yeah. I think it's post Navy.
It's before Florida State. I can't remember if it's after Navy or like the week, because then it's a bye. If it's that bye week, I can't remember which one it is. We get that football ranking, but it's 2 or 3 weeks out. So that's going to be really interesting. It's always interesting when you get that first one because stuff's a little bit shifted somewhere. But where are we falling? But you're not going to feel comfortable unless you're in that 7-8 range. Because remember, we're going to go into conference championship week, and it's going to be like we're going to be rooting for some teams. Because if there's upsets, it's like March Madness though. Like if you have some of those upsets, like those teams on the bubble are getting kicked out because that team that was expected to win it and they didn't, they're going to be in.
You're like, okay, there's 10 ACC basketball teams that are a lock, and then somehow this 11th team finds a way to win the tournament, and you're like, well, okay, now somebody they're not going to put 11 ACC teams in. Now what?
Yeah.
So so I guess hopefully as a Notre Dame perspective, the college football playoff ranking is the weekend that we play Navy.
Yeah.
Because if it was the bye week, then you've got does that help or hurt you because you're out of sight, out of mind? If you can go play a very, very good Navy team
and beat them
on the road, which it'll be neutral site. But if you can go beat a very good Navy team on the road, and then the next day the college football playoff committee's sitting together and discussing. Condoleezza Rice still on the committee?
I don't know if she is or not.
I know she was
yesterday. She at the game.
She was at the game yesterday.
I don't know if she is or not.
Oh.
And it was interesting because they had her present the colors before they played the national anthem, and they started to announce, and they're like, "Oh, the person presenting the flag to the ROTC today," and they start to announce this person's on staff at Stanford, and there starts to be a boo, kind of this not a real loud boo, but this boo, low tone boo because this person on Stanford, and then they flip on the screen and they say, and she's a master's degree graduate from Notre Dame, and it's Condoleezza Rice, and then the crowd goes so that was kind of funny. So I'm like, if she's on the playoff committee, don't boo her, don't boo her. I like Condoleezza Rice, I one of the few people who applies logic in government, in my opinion, and I know she's not always popular to everybody, but it's don't boo her.
Yeah,
I want her to be. I want her to be commissioner of the NFL. I like Condoleezza Rice, and she knows football. So hopefully that's the week the playoff committee gets together and decides is our Navy week. And if we play well against Navy, I guess if we don't play well against Navy, maybe it's better it's the bye week and they forget about it. But
all right, we're 6 weeks in, halfway through the season. We make the playoff. Who we playing? Let's hear your prediction now. Home or away? Prediction.
My prediction right now is we go on the road. I don't think we're 5 through 8. So I think we're on the road as I sit here right now. And then I get really nervous because I'm thinking it's probably going to be an Alabama, a Tennessee, could be an Ohio State. I mean, like,
yeah,
maybe an IU. Like, I could see a scenario where
IU's not one of the Big Ten. You're not selling me on that one.
I could see. I'm not saying IU wins the Big Ten, because they win the Big Ten, they're top 4 and they get a first.
They're going to not make the playoff. They're going to.
I could see a scenario where somehow IU, because I think Ryan Day is at risk of losing Ohio State after yesterday, because that team he went out and bought and paid for. I could see a situation where they were all in. It was national championship or nothing. And we'll see how good of a coach Ryan Day is. But I could see a scenario where Ryan Day loses, like, the team, and Ohio. And then, again, IU makes the Big Ten championship. They lose to an Oregon, by 2-3 touchdowns, but they still are
it's not
number.
happening.
They're still number 8 in the country, and somehow we end up having to play them at number 9, and we have to go to IU and play a football game, which I don't even know if IU's football stadium holds more than 50,000. I don't. It's a smaller stadium. Like,
Yeah.
I've been by it once. When I used to go down and hang out with my friends who were at IU, we would go to soccer games, and I know there would be more people at the soccer game than there would be at a football game on the same weekend.
Yeah.
So yeah, I once remember seeing a soccer game at IU in the snow,
Yeah.
and the football stadium was empty that same weekend. So
Yeah.
So yeah, but my prediction is we're going to be on the road, and I'm going to go Tennessee, on the road at Tennessee.
Okay, Jordan, you got one?
Yeah, I'm feeling the same. I was hoping that a lot of these SEC teams would cannibalize each other, but I think these games have been close, and I don't think the committee is going to be able to separate them. So I think we still get in, but yeah, on the road. And I don't know if they'll do us any favors, but I'm thinking it's going to be against a Big Ten team, possibly like a Penn State or somebody like that, because I think Oregon's going to win the Big Ten. And if Penn State now, they just continue to find ways to win, that I think they're going to be hosting one of the home games that we'll probably have to play against.
Did you see the highlight of the Penn State game where they shifted the offset line? The center was lined up at tackle, snaps the ball, and then they throw the ball to him. They literally, yes, go look at this highlight on social media. They literally intentionally threw the ball to the center. It looked like a flag football play. Like, in flag football, no one ever guards the center, so that's the guy you throw the ball to in a big moment. So they did an offset line. The center, stayed to the basically tight end position. Everyone lined up to the right of him. He snaps the ball. Quarterback rolls left. Center goes right up the seam, and they hit him for a touchdown. It's like we had 2 center passes yesterday.
Yeah.
One of them intentional, one of them not. But yeah. So yeah. I think Penn State, they're gritty enough. They're going to find a way to be in it.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Carter?
I'm going I think we're going to get another ACC opponent. Everyone else is going to another conference, so I'll switch it up. I think Miami or Clemson will end up going to the road, whoever loses the ACC championship.
See, I think there's a little bit of matchup bias that goes on the playoff committee. They won't rank the teams 1 through 11 and just where we think they are. I think they will flop around a team, because they seem to do it in the 4-team playoff.
Yeah.
They would always seem to, you'd have Michigan, Ohio State both make it. They wouldn't put them 2 and 3, or 3 and 4. They would always move one around just to avoid the matchup. So I think
here's what you want me to say, right? LSU's coming to town.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, LSU coming to South Bend. That would be it. That's
what's happening. You heard it here first.
Let's make that a night game. Let's hope for a little bit of snow. That would be a raucous, crazy environment. All kinds of backstory. But we're not going to play an ACC opponent we played in the regular season.
Oh no.
But I think they'll try and break up the conference play. So I don't think it'll be us that they're trying to avoid playing somebody, unless it's A&M. If it worked out somehow that A&M was that second team out of the SEC, they wouldn't send us back down to A&M. They would move us up or them up down, or they'd move it around so we didn't have a rematch. But I don't think they'll move us around to avoid an ACC opponent. I just think they're going to put the ACC opponent against an SEC or a Big Ten opponent.
Yeah.
And then we'll end up falling to that SEC or Big Ten opponent. I was kind of hoping at one point we were going to be number 5 and we were going to be playing that Boise State, that that group of 25 team. I really want us to be 6. I think that's the sweet spot for us.
6
if we
or
can
7.
get 6, I think that's the sweet spot. But we'll see. Right now, I just want to be in the top 11. I just want to be there, make the playoff. I mean, so we'll see.
Yeah.
And we got 6 more games to figure it out.
Yeah.
7 weeks and 6 games before we know. So a couple months away.
No kidding. We're not rushing it.
Yeah. So, and hey, one game at a time.
Yep.
Right now, all focus goes to the Rambling Wreck of Georgia Tech.
Yeah, no kidding. Got to get ready.
Yep. So, all right. Anything else to cover today?
Jordan, got anything?
No.
All right. Well, hey, Jordan, appreciate you jumping on this morning.
Yeah.
It was always good to talk football. So, and this ACC schedule, we're in it.
Yep.
We get another ACC opponent, and I know Carter and I are big on Georgia Tech. We think they're a good team.
Yeah.
I think Louisville's a better team. So my mind's telling me that I think Louisville's better than Georgia Tech, and we found the way to beat Louisville.
Yeah.
I think we can find a way to beat Georgia Tech. I got to sit down and think how it's going to happen because they do have the mobile quarterback. So it'll be interesting to come up with some thoughts. You guys, good luck on coming up with bets.
Open up a 6.5 point favorite. I haven't seen the over underline, but I'm really feeling a higher scoring game next week. I don't know why.
Yeah. And we didn't give our Tommy Reese
do your
job call out. I mean, because I like to think BMO got called out last game and he stepped it up.
Yeah.
Like he had a pick that they negated with an offsides. Yeah. He did not do holding on the call that negated the Watts. So
big hit lower to shoulder down there on the I forget if it was first half, I think it was, but on a 3rd or 4th down stop. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going back around. We've been on him before. He was our first call out.
Yep.
The punter.
James Rendell. Do your job.
Yeah. Do your job. As Tommy Reese would say. Yeah.
And can we also do a secondary? Whoever's not getting Mitch Evans the ball, if it's play calling, if it's Riley Leonard, do your job. Get him the ball. 25 yards.
Yeah.
25 yards.
Find that guy.
Whoever it is, I guess I can't throw a name out there because I don't know if it's play calling. Right. I don't think
it was ever a play call for him. I don't think it was.
So Mike Denbrock, do your job. Give Mitch Evans the ball. Come on.
I think that's fair.
I mean, he called a really good game yesterday. I'm not gonna but
almost perfect.
Almost.
But he didn't get
25 receiving yards away and a few more carries to Jeremiah Love away from being a perfect game. Let's just get that out there.
All right. Well, let's put this one to bed. Let's enjoy the rest of our weekend and let's get ready for Georgia Tech.
Yep. So thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Irish 365 podcast.
You can find us wherever you get your podcast.
We are on YouTube, X, Instagram, and Facebook.
Just search for Irish 365 Pod.
And you can always reach us at our email, irish365pod@gmail.com.
Good night.
And God bless.